The Cleveland Browns had a wild 2025 NFL draft, but how did they actually do? My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down the Browns 2025 draft class. But before we do that, Ryan is getting married here in a couple of weeks, so send him an early wedding day present by hitting that subscribe button, leaving a like and a comment. Let us know what you think of the Browns draft. And Ryan, let's pull this up here on honestly just this kind of wild draft. And so they ended up trading
Yeah.
back, got a future first from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they still ended up getting Mason Graham. I think that is actually a really good pick. Really like Mason Graham. He was the only real reason why Michigan was relevant this year, in my opinion. Him and Kenneth Grant. So then to kick off the second round, they got Carson Schwesinger, linebacker from UCLA. Then they got Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins. Then they got Harold Fannin, the rising tight end from Bowling Green that a lot of people liked coming into the draft process. We'll talk about him overall here in a second. Then they got Dillon Gabriel, quarterback from Oregon, and then
Mhm.
running back Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. And then wrap it all up with the draft. And this was, I think, the big moment I think everybody was kind of waiting for was Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado. And I don't know how to feel about this draft because I felt like every other pick was like, I really like this pick. It started with Mason Graham. Love this pick. Great decision. You got Mason Graham and a first round pick. Nothing against Carson Schwesinger, maybe a little bit higher than I would have gone with. I also think, too, you go look at the linebacking room. We need to see what happens with Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. Yes. But then they had some other guys, I think, also, too, that performed well last year. But if they like him, like I'm all for it. Like that's where like even with my opinion on a scout versus like the professional scout's opinion, I will even tend to lean toward like this is my opinion, but they obviously see something different. I still thought maybe that's a little higher, but that's me. But then Quinshon Judkins come in, replace that running back room, and then they even got Dylan Sampson later on, which they did double dip at running back, but I also think too they just needed
They
that
need
much help.
they
And
needed it,
so
yeah.
and then I don't really like the Harold Fannin and Dylan Gabriel selections. I think it's funny. I was even sitting with Dad when no, it was you. We were watching Harold Fannin, and it was like the highlights, and we were just talking about it. He looks like he runs awkwardly. He looks like he
Yeah.
runs like yeah. I won't say anything else. He just looks like he runs awkwardly. And so I'm curious to see how his athleticism will trade. I'm not saying he will be bad in the NFL. I just thought he would have been an early day three pick or middle day three
Yeah.
pick. I think getting him there at what's that, 67? I think might be a little
Yeah.
early. And then lastly, too, the quarterback situation. I think it's great value to get Shedeur Sanders there at 5 in the 5th round. It I think just in general, you take Shedeur Sanders out of it. I thought this was way too early for Dillon Gabriel, in my
So
opinion.
I actually like Dillon Gabriel. I just like he's limited. He has a good arm, but he's 5'11", like 200. Like the, statistically, those quarterbacks they never very rarely ever pan out just because of sheer size. And Shedeur was there. Like I don't know why they didn't just take him at in the third round where they took Gabriel. That's my thing, and there's obviously something that we don't know in the public about Shedeur.
Yeah.
Like maybe his interview process was as bad as all of the rumors were, and teams were just like kind of out on him. But I thought Shedeur was there at the third, the 30th pick in the third round, and so I felt that should have been the pick there, and then that frees them up to maybe go and take a flyer uh on day 3 for somebody else. This was just a weird draft. I love Mason Graham. I think he's a really good player. Uh, I thought they were just going to take Travis Hunter. That's fine. I think they got good value for the pick. They still got a really good player. Carson Schwesinger, I had a third round grade on. Bit of a reach. Quinshon Judkins thought that was about where he would go. Him and Travion Henderson were neck and neck for me. Um, I I was really not high on Harold Fannin Jr. A lot of people saw him. He had a really rough week at the Senior Bowl. He is an undersized tight end that I don't really feel is a great athlete. Like I don't know why he's getting all this hype. Like you go look at Isaiah Likely, and like Isaiah Likely is an elite athlete, especially at that size. And Harold Fannin Jr. just does not have the same movement skills. He's stiff in the hips. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just weird. And then the quarterback situation. This is just a really weird draft for me. Like this was an odd situation I think that the Browns kind of on the hot seat. The head coach is kind of on the hot seat. I think this is a really odd draft to.
Yeah, to me, I just kind of because I like some of these players. I nothing against Dillon Gabriel, but I kind of lumped him into those kind of day 3 quarterbacks that
Yeah,
were like the Will
the Riley
Howards, Riley
Leonards, Will
Leonards.
Howards. Yeah,
That's where I just kind of put him there. And honestly, then to be fair to Dillon Gabriel, I also had Jalen Milroe kind of in that category also, and he
yeah.
ended up going to pick right before him. And so, but once again, like maybe if the scout see traits, to me, it's more the strategy behind it all. Of I just felt like they were also even just better tight ends. Like I preferred Gunnar Helm over Harold Fannin Jr. and he went like 60 picks later. So and it's like now that being said though, where I credit them, like they did get future draft capital as well with the Mason
That's fair.
Graham trade, and Mason Graham's going to be a stud. I love the idea of him lining up next to Myles Garrett, and then they're just terrorizing offensive lines. Like so, I think that's where it's going to help out a lot. And
There
then
was
and then I will say then to benefit then Carson Schwesinger, in my opinion, from what I said earlier, though, is he's got a lot of speed. So if you've got defensive linemen right there who are getting after the quarterback, like then you're going to have that next level of guys that can swamp like all over the ball in anybody that might get loose. So it's just a very interesting draft. I it's hard for me to kind of put a grade on this because some picks I really love and some picks you just scratch your head on. Is I'll give this like an av I say all that. I'll give this a B plus because they did get future draft capital. They did get some studs. They had some questionable things. But that also being said, too, if everybody in the NFL community was like, "Hey, Shedeur Sanders, like probably shouldn't even fall out of the first round," but then he fell out of day 2, and then you're getting this guy in the 5th round. I I think that there's whatever media storm or things that people were fearing about, or if the interviews were that bad, or maybe I lean maybe there's an injury thing that we don't know about, which is why he fell also too. And this is all pure speculation, but if he is that guy that we all said like he could be like a potential top 10 pick, you got him in the 5th round, and like maybe he is your guy's future franchise quarterback. You know, and this was motivating as hell for him. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. I have no idea. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens with the Browns in that quarterback room.
I Yeah, real quick, Mason Graham. So there was a lot of Abdul Carter talk. I actually think the Mason Graham and Myles Garrett pairing is I don't want to say better, but like the fit makes more sense. You have a disruptive interior guy and you have a disruptive edge rusher. You don't just have two
Just great edge
explosive,
rushers.
yeah,
Yeah.
great edge rushers. And so obviously I wouldn't complain about an Abdul Carter Myles Garrett pairing either. This just makes like more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But for my grade, this is yeah, I have to factor in the fact that I got a future first also. So if you throw a future first on here, I would say this is an average draft. I really don't like. I thought Carson Schwesinger was a reach. I really don't like Harold Fannin. And the quarterback situation is just odd. Uh, so I don't know. It's just a weird draft. It's hard to put a grade on, but I'm gonna go with average and just give him a C. Like I don't. It's just I don't know. It was weird.
It was definitely a roller coaster of a ride. It was like watching
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy try and win the, Masters. You're like, "We're back, baby," and you're like,
Yeah.
What was that?" And it's like, "We're back, baby," and you're like, "Oh my god, what was that?"
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So we'll have to wait and see. That's why those guys get paid the big bucks, but at the same time, though, too, it's not like the Browns have a great history
Of drafting.
of drafting well. So,
Yeah.
but who knows? Maybe this is the year.
Maybe. But on that note, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Cleveland Browns 2025 draft class. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently than that? We'll see you guys next time.